Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Nick, the C506 car guy. So today we're going to be getting into installation height. I'm going to show you how to use a micrometer to measure that. Then we're going to go over the valve springs I'm using, the BTR 660s, talk about seat pressure, how installation height changes all that, and then how you actually calculate that. I'm going to go over Brian Tooley's recommendation for me, and then what that does to my seat pressure, and then how my specific camshaft relates to all this. So whether you're building an LS at home or you just want to understand these things better and know how to do these calculations, this one's for you. Stick around and we'll get into it. Alright, so I've got my trick flow heads. I already have the installation heights measured with a standard BTR 60 thousandths locator, and I've got them written on here. I'm going to show you how I measured that. Alright, so I got the BTR micrometer. Very impressed with this little tool. I compared it to a caliper I had, and it was showing 5 thousandths difference between the two, and that could have been me. I mean, it's really hard to measure that, so I'm pretty impressed with that. So with this tool, this vertical line on the barrel and these numbers here, that's your hundredths. So like right now, you see the 0, we're at 1.8. That would be an inch and 800 thousandths. Now these marks here, these little ones, that's 5 thousandths. So let's go up 2. That would be an inch and 810 thousandths. Okay, and then as you keep going, you'll see the other number is starting to be visible. So we're not at 1.9 yet. We don't get to 1.9 until we cross that 0. So like if we're right here, that's an inch and 900 and let's say 2 thousandths, 3, something like that. It's kind of hard to get exact, like down to the single thousandths, but you really don't have to be that precise. It's not quite that critical. Just do the best you can. Some of these were 1.802 and it was something right about there. So, and I'm going to actually show you, I'm going to show you me measuring some valves so you can see what that actually looks like. So I've got a locator here. I'm going to go ahead and put the micrometer here, show you how to measure this. We're going to spin this down a little bit. Okay, put a retainer on it. Now to make this real easy, you can put a little grease there. I'm not going to do that right now, but it just helps these locks stay, like if you put one on at a time. This shouldn't be too bad though. Maybe go down a little bit. There we go. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. There we go. Okay, I'm going to get this lined up to where it faces you. I know it's going to be right around there, because I've done it already. Get it kind of snug. So as you can see, it's below the 8 line, and it's right past the 0. So that'd be, I called it 1.802. It could be 3. That's just what I wrote down. Okay, so we'll check another one. Show you how to do that again. I'm gonna spin her down. Let's just do this one at the very front. Oh, there we go. Okay, where is it? Oh yeah. Oh, I've got a shim in that one. Okay, well I guess we're gonna skip along a little bit here. So Brian told me he wanted me to put 30 thousandths shims on these. So with this previous install height plus the 30 thousandths shim, that's like an inch and let's call that 77, 76. Yeah, 76. Okay, so an inch and 776 thousandths with the 30 thousandths shim, which I think that that checks out. So now that I've showed you how to measure that, let's go over the actual the math behind this stuff. So I've got this all written down on paper here for you. This is the BTR 660 Platinum Springs. This is the cam card, 619 lift. So I've already got all this information on the sheet. So first thing you want to do, you want to calculate the spring rate. Okay, you're going to need that. So the way you do that, take two of these values. I used the 400 and 155 pounds. Subtract the 155 from 400, you get 245 pounds. Okay, then do the same thing with those distances. That's 650 thousandths of travel. Okay, and then you divide the pounds by that travel, and we come up with 377 basically pounds per inch. Okay, so now with my original install height being an inch and 806 thou on that intake valve, so we need to know what that does to the seat pressure. Okay, so that is 26 thousandths less than the advertised install height for these springs, which is an inch and 780 thousandths. Okay, so we take that that distance, measure it, or sorry, multiply it by the spring rate, we get basically 10 pounds, 9.8. So subtract that from the advertised seat pressure of 155, and we get 145.2. So that's how much seat pressure I lost just by losing preload. So I also did the exhaust valve, but we'll just stick with the intake valve just so I can show you guys how to do this stuff. So let's discuss what that does to the open pressure. Okay, when the cam has the valve fully open. Okay, so my BTR Red Hot cam has 619 lift on the intake side. We're going to multiply that by the spring rate. That gives us 233.36 pounds. Okay, we'll add that to our closed seat pressure of 145 pounds, and we get 378.5 pounds. So that's what that valve should be seeing when the cam has the valve fully open. Okay, so what about coil bind? Okay, so obviously since my install height is a little bit higher than the recommended, I'm going to be in a pretty safe margin, but I'll show you how to check that. So the BTR cam 619 lift, okay, that we subtract that from our actual height, install height. We get an inch and 187 thousandths. Okay, subtract your coil bind from that. We know these springs reach coil bind at an inch and 70 thousandths, and that gives us a margin of 117 thousandths. Now Brian totally recommends 50 to 60 thousandths, so I'm well within that margin, which is good because that means I can shim and gain some spring pressure. Now I did specifically talk to Brian about my setup, and I said, hey, this is my install height. This is what I'm going to be doing, 7,200 RPM with a Pro Charger. What do you think? What do you think I should do? And he said that he would shim them down 30 thousandths. So let's look at what that does. So take my install height, subtract my shim, and I get an inch and 776 thousandths, which that's actually pretty cool because that is the birth year of America. So I've got freedom built into my valve train here. So yeah, so take that new install height, subtract it from advertised. That's a difference of 4 thousandths. Okay, multiply that by your spring rate, you get a pound and a half of seat pressure change. So now I went from 145 now up to 156 seat pressure, and then my open went from 378.5 to 390. So pretty big difference. My new coil bind, I take my new install height with that shim, subtract my cam lift, we get inch and 157 thousandths. Remember, subtract the coil bind, and that's my new margin. So I still have room to go. I could, shim even further if I wanted to, but I'm just gonna go with this, see how it does. This is what Brian totally recommended, so I trust his expertise. So I know this was kind of dry, maybe a little hard to follow. I apologize. Hopefully you can get something out of this and it helps you. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Appreciate you watching. Thanks.